And I'm
Good evening, sir.
Hey, what's going on, Charlie?
I am happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, sir. And I'm looking forward to this interview. Let's go ahead and begin. How did your wrestling career got started?
My professional career started, and I hate to admit it, when we were kids out in the backyard beating each other up. And me being the smallest of them all, it was either step up or get beat up. And it didn't take long for the Hearthrob to be on top of the neighborhood. And we just kept getting on and into bigger things. And I knew that there's only one other thing I could do, and that was turn to professional wrestling.
I'm sure those people will have second thoughts going at you now that you are a wrestler.
Absolutely right. Hey, you know, in my home promotion of Northern Outlaw Wrestling up in Minot, and I like to call it Mind Rock because I don't like staying here all the time. It's too cold up here for this southern boy. But I have been franchise champion. I have been a 3-time tag team champion right now currently with Sammy Savard. And I've also been the Young Guns champion. The only championship that has eluded me right now is that World Heavyweight title. And someday I hope to get that. You know, that's the last goal I got.
Do you remember the first wrestling match you ever had? And if so, who was your opponent? What was the company? And where was it located?
It was located in Bismarck, North Dakota. We were, I don't remember them chumps' name, to be honest with you. All I can tell you is me and my former teammate, Robbie Ryder, I would punch that guy in the face if I got the chance right now. That's what, you know, brothers do, I guess. They turn on each other. But it was Bismarck, it was July, and it was in front of the Honky Tonk Man. And you talked about nervous. I'm not sure what was more a part of it, the fact that that crowd couldn't stand us because we won, or the fact that I was in front of a legend and trying to do my best and not, well, crapping my pants, if you will.
Wow. Perform in front of the Honky Tonk Man. That definitely had to put the nervous up to another level. I mean, it's one thing to wrestle in front of an audience, but when a legend is right there watching your match, it's just something that, I mean, how do you manage to go through that, you know, with Honky Tonk Man in there? Obviously, you mentioned nervous and everything, but how did it feel to just to at least get through that match?
It was like this. I was nervous as it was, as many as, you know, and I'm using my finger quotations right now, as many matches as I'd had before, I'd never gotten paid. And that day I got my first paycheck, and it wasn't very much, but nonetheless, it proved to every one of my doubters that I am now a professional, and will stretch it on to having a Honky Tonk Man there with me. You know, having that guy backstage was a complete blessing. He was nice. He was informative. You know, had a few tips for the Hearthrob. And basically, I will not lie to nobody. I was just out there. And it was amazing because as loud as that crowd was, as much hatred as they had for us, I could barely hear them. I was just trying not to get, you know, screw something up.
Who do you consider as influences in your wrestling career?
The greatest influence I have goes out to Tully Blanchard. I absolutely idolized him growing up. I idolized Ric Flair, and the second one, my second favorite, would be Arn Anderson, the Enforcer. And the reason why is because they were so good, and they had James J. Dillon on their side. And you talk about a smart wrestling man. He knew everything about anything that is wrestling today. And I loved how when they teamed up, and they were the tag team champions for a long time in WWF way back when, I just loved, and even giving Ole Anderson credit, I loved how they would isolate that body part, normally the left arm, and they would beat it to death. So when they did actually get a comeback, they were doing it one-armed. And that's what I try to do, is isolate, whether it's the leg, the back, the neck, the arm. I want to take something out because the Hearthrob don't play nice.
the Four Horsemen has to go down as probably the most influential stable in the history of professional wrestling. I mean, as other stables and groups try to duplicate what they do, but it's impossible. I mean, they were ahead of their time, and they were at their prime, and they were all successful individuals before they joined forces, and that what was so great about it. And Dylan, the mastermind of them all, and it was good to see them finally get inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame earlier this year, especially Arn Anderson, because I think he's been one of those guys that never really got a lot of credit for what he's done and accomplished in his wrestling career.
I absolutely agree. Yeah, it was really a sentiment for me because I sat there, and let me tell you something, the Hearthrob don't ever cry, but he was close that night, to see four, and I'll even give some Barry Windham some love that day, but to see four of my favorite guys up there give him the four symbol, it was a dream come true. And, someday, I don't know that I'll ever make it to that Hall of Fame per se, but I hope that, the Lord above, that one of these companies around here that I do participate with will grant me that same luxury someday.
So do you have any upcoming shows, matches that you would like to promote?
Well, absolutely. Thank you very much. December 15th, the Hearthrob's going to be in New Britain, Minnesota for Born Champions Wrestling. Right now, they do not have an opponent for me, and that doesn't even surprise me a little bit because the last time I went up there, I beat up their friendly Marine, and I'm here to tell you right now, and this is no joke, he's out of wrestling. And I'm not telling you I did it personally, but I was one of the last guys that put his shoulders to the mat and counted him out. And then we'll fast forward into January the 18th and 19th in Minot, North Dakota. They've got their second biggest show of the year called High Stakes Gamble. It's the tip-off of the new season. And myself and Sammy Savard, we're better known as the Revolution up here. And we're taking on a couple of whiny punks called Hot and Dangerous for the tag team titles. And if you're bored and you got nothing else to do, you check us out on Facebook. That's Northern Outlaw Wrestling. Or you can check us out on the web at northernoutlawwrestling.com. And for all my new fans out there, if you need to, you can follow me at Twitter. That's at Charlie Midnite. But that's enough about me. Let's go back to some matches. And everything, I only concern myself with what the Hearthrob and the Bulldog are doing. So I don't know who even else is on the card. You could email the admin dude for that. But we did. I can tell you, I turned down a chance to go up to Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, and wrestle for Gold Dragon, just simply because I wasn't sure I was going to get across the border. They don't like a southern type up there.
Again, I'm joined with the Hearthrob, Charlie Midnite, right here on Triple Threat Wrestling Radio. Making it to the midpoint of hour number 1 of the show. As from a fan standpoint, what is your thoughts on, I guess you can call them the big leagues, like the WWEs, the TNAs, and Ring of Honor? What's your takes on those three companies?
I like them a lot. I watched TNA just a little bit ago. I enjoyed it. They had a lot of good matches on there as compared to, the WWE. Again, they're getting better again. They weren't so good for a while there, but I still watch it because I like to watch wrestling. I watch it, as a trainer, as a fan, as a booker, that type of thing. And to me, it's professional wrestling. And even in some of the worst matches, you want to check out $5 wrestling, even that, it's a good way to laugh and have fun and watch with your friends type of thing. Ring of Honor, I enjoy their product, but I don't always agree with their philosophies and stuff. In my own opinion, and that's all it is opinion, I think they should have more match psychology. But, that's splitting hairs. I think every single one of their guys in that roster is very talented, and I think they do overall put on a hell of a good product.
I feel like as far as Ring of Honor, all they need is a channel or network per se that's going to put wrestling to the forefront. They own Fox.
Without a doubt.
They're on Fox, and their main focus is football, baseball, X Factor, and American Idol. If you're not if you're not none of those products, then you're gonna be put to the back burner. That's let's just put it that way.
You're absolutely right. You know, look at Paul Heyman back in the days of ECW. He took that company from a tiny bingo hall into one of the greatest hours on television.
Yeah, and it's good. It's good. Believe it or not, it's actually good to see Paul Heyman back. You know, he's out there with CM Punk now. And I guess Punk is a Heyman guy, according to the DVD, of course. But you know, Heyman, he's still there, and ECW, it was unique. Obviously, it was hardcore, but they gave it all they had, and it was fun to watch. It's just one of those times, you know, the Attitude Era. You know, it just like I mentioned with the Four Horsemen, it's just something that can never be duplicated. You know, I feel like wrestling is back on track, but even that, they still have a long way to go as it pertains to the big companies, which is why I appreciate what the indie wrestlers do and the indie shows. It's just they're the heart and soul of wrestling. They're the one that keep things going. So. It's good.
Absolutely right.
And it's good to see that, you know, once people realize that there's more to wrestling than just WWE, then, you know, people can check out the local indie shows, which I keep preaching on this show. Check out your local indie pro shows. Check them out. You know, they need all the support, and, you know, just show them that you care. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So, what do you like the most of being a wrestler? You like the traveling, interaction with your peers, the fans? What do you like the most of being a wrestler?
Well, first of all, it starts out is I like the camaraderie backstage. I enjoy being around and listening to people's stories, all the good to the bad to the horror. But, you know, that's just a personal thing. You take it one step further, my absolute favorite thing in the world is to walk out through that curtain. I'm going to plug 12 Stones right now, one of my favorite bands, and their song Bulletproof, because that's the Revolution uses. But when we walk out through that curtain and that place erupts in booze, there is no better adrenaline rush than that right there. That defining moment.
What would your advice be to anyone out there that wants to pursue their career as a professional wrestler?
Find a good trainer. Find a good school. Those two go hand in hand. And do your research on that school and make sure they are credible. And then once you get in there, you bust your ass for the next 90 days or however long that class is, and you know, prove that you've got the heart, the testicular fortitude. Because I'll tell you right now, we got a kid in our school right now. The kid's a skinny little runt, and we beat the crap out of the kid every time we get a chance to. And we had our head trainer that comes up to us, and he said, he said it right to us, he said, that guy is a piece of crap. He said, you are terrible, son. And I felt bad for the kid. But that kid took a break, had a few drinks of water, and he walked back up to that head trainer. He said, okay, sir. He said, I'll accept that. He said, now how do I get better? And I kind of looked at the kid like, holy crap, I didn't. You know, there's a lot of them people right now that would have said, oh, I'm done. He doesn't think I'm very good. But that kid took it. And he belittled that kid in front of everybody, and he came back for more. And now we beat him up again still. So that's my advice. If you're going to do it 110%.
That definitely takes a lot of heart and a lot of passion for that person to go through and wanting to get back out there. I mean, that's
I was
how.
proud of that kid.
I mean, that's something that we all go through in life. You know, we get all knocked down, but it's not how you get knocked down; it's how you get back up. And kudos to that kid. I hope he makes it far. So this is a topic that I've been asking wrestlers for quite a while, probably the last month or so. It is backyard wrestling. Obviously, that's not how you want to pursue as a wrestler. What's your reaction when you hear, aspiring wrestlers out there that wants to go that route rather than go to a training school?
You said backyard?
Yeah, backyard wrestling.
You want me to blunt or should I sugarcoat this?
You always speak your mind, man. You don't need to.
You're going to get a blunt, sir.
All right, go right ahead, sir.
There's a difference from when I started when we were kids and we were emulating what we saw as compared to, as to what these guys are doing. There's, several videos out on Netflix, and right now these backyard guys. Backyard wrestling is nothing more than glorified crap. You can polish that turd and paint that turd all you want, but in reality it's still a turd. They do not even get consideration, in my opinion, as being a wrestler, because they are not. They did not go through the training. They did not go through the hours and hours and hours of classes, how to bump properly. And a lot of these guys think you got to bleed and all that stuff. Absolutely, that could not be more incorrect. So anybody that calls themselves a backyarder can stay back there because I don't want nothing to do with them.
If there was a police for professional wrestling, then every single one of them should be arrested. I'm just saying, they should be arrested for, I guess, being frauds, fraudulent, it's like taking a shortcut.
Because they're not trained.
Yeah.
And that's the basis right there, is they are not trained and they are not able to do things safely. I mean, I've been in, the one time, I'll try to tell you quickly, we had the big Mr. Incredible up and did this whoop-de-doo move on him, and he was supposed to just fall straight on his back, and somehow he flipped over, and I tell you, I've never been so scared in my life. When I went to that cover, I was so scared because he fell funny, and something like that, it worked out. He was okay. To this day, we're still very, very good friends. But it could have been ugly. Whereas all them yarders, they don't have any concern like that. I'm sure they care if they hurt each other and stuff, but I mean, that's not family when we're in the ring. And when we're backstage and that type of thing, and I was scared to death of that guy. But in reality, he was okay.
And that's why time and time again, backyards or just fans out there, don't try this at home. Leave it to the professionals. I mean, it takes them days, months, even years to perfect the moves that you see, whether an indie show or on national television. They don't just go out there outside the ring and do it on anyone for the hell of it. They do this just to put a show together. So don't try it at home.
Yeah.
All right, so my last question for you is, if you're going to have a dream match with any wrestler, past or present, anyone from it, whether from the indies or from the pros, what would your dream match be, and who would your opponent be?
That's a good question. I would say the opponent would be Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. And I don't know, because it probably, I couldn't think of anything else. I suppose another guy I'd like to be against would be Tommy Rich, probably Jerry the King Lawler. But I'd like to maybe throw those guys in a six-man tag with me and Arn and Ole or Tully. We'd be managed by J.J. Dillon. We'd be at the Coliseum in Memphis, Tennessee.
That's awesome, man. That's totally awesome. And speaking of Jerry, it's great to see him back after what happened to him 9 weeks ago.
Yeah.
That was a scary sight 9 weeks ago. It's incredible that the EMTs were able to react as quickly. Otherwise, he would have lost his life on that night. But it's great to see him back on the announcing booth, and it's just great to see him back in general. Well,
This Southern boy was happy to see back.
mm-hmm. So Hearthrob, it was great talking to you, man. I like your intensity, in your pride and dedication, and thank you, sir, for your time. I truly appreciate it. Everybody, check out the shows he's already mentioned and support local pro indie wrestling. Go out there and support it, no matter where you are. Just go out there and support it. Thank you for your time, sir. Best of success to you and your companies going forward.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate your time. You guys have a great weekend.
You too. That was the Hearthrob, Charlie Midnite.